stuff is stuff sitting around the house. Experiences, create the memories that matter. Yeah. That's the real stuff. Yeah. To those of us who much has been given, much is expected, you got to pay it forward. So that's the beauty of life.
Welcome back to Two Caring Gents, where real stories meet real people. Today's episode is going to be unique. It's going to be different than last week's and the weeks before that. So I really hope you enjoy listening. And please comment below and let us know of any topics you want to talk about or input you want to hear. All right. Well, welcome to Two Caring Gents. Our guest today, Jamie Herbert.
Thanks for being on.
Thanks, gentlemen. Very honored to be here. Thanks for asking.
So, I mean, we like, powerful stories. Mainly, focused on like what we talked about is real stories of people's lives and what they want to share, what they want people to know. That's the platform we have here, is to allow people to listen in as if we were just at a coffee house speaking and they're just a fly on the wall listening to the conversation. Awesome. Kind of the idea. Awesome. So welcome and, let's get into it.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Perfect, guys.
We'll call out, this is our first time that we officially have sponsors. So we got our guy, Jake Dawson, we got a shout out. Yes. So good scanned cans. So Jake, appreciate you. And then we are powered by Rally Coffee tonight. So taking care of Omaha's finest. So
congrats, guys.
Thanks, man. Jamie, connect the dots. How did you end up here?
So Nick and I met, I'm not sure how many years ago. It feels like 10, but I don't think it's been
just under
long.
10. Okay. 8 years.
Just under 10 through some work that we both did with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.
Got it.
And there's a circle of us that actually over time became very good friends. And so been very blessed to have Nick and others in my life through that stage of our journey together.
Awesome. And those listening, the LLS community is really incredible in Omaha. I mean, this chapter is extremely strong. Were you on the board there? Do you have leadership positions? That kind of So
to connect dots further, my youngest, when he was 6, was diagnosed with leukemia. So we didn't know anything about the illness. We didn't know anything about Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. In the early stages of him going through treatment, you go through the whole why. I'm overly analytic, right? And pretty quickly through the lens of asking a whole bunch of questions, discovered that much of the drug treatment that he was undergoing, that the research that funded those drugs came from Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Being a type A, high energy, in a situation where you want control and there is no way to grab control. One of the things that I did that was therapeutic for me was decide that I was going to run a half marathon and raise some funds for Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So that was my first exposure.
Got it.
And then through that, got introduced into the LLS community and met some exceptional people through that journey.
We were talking to Jake on our last episode. I think the therapy part is really interesting to us, like how you deal and how you cope. And, obviously with your family, like what other advice do you have for people, whether it's they themselves that have been given some bad news or a loved one? Like what else did you do for strength? I mean, that's a 6-year-old diagnosed with.
So at least for me, it took time. So to be very clear, the early stages is denial, right? So this isn't me, this isn't happening there's no family, this doesn't make sense. And at some point you got to accept it. And there's that expression about the difference between hearing and listening, right? So others that were going through similar journey to where we were at the same time, actually some very good friends of ours who I remember words that were used on I got it, right? Yeah. But didn't appreciate early on that the whole, hey, you better take care of yourself. And our daughter was 10 at the time, right? So, not old enough to take care of it. Just very blessed to have an incredible support structure here, but still mom and dad want to be there and want to be part of that. And I continue to work, right? So was blessed that Marisa, my wife, was able to do the day shift. I did the night shift thing. And at some point it's the whole bring it on, but you're going to break, right? And for us, I think this was the pretty early stage of Caring Bridge, which became a channel to communicate, right? So I get it in terms of the other side, your support structure, people that want to reach out, but they also want to give you your space. So that was kind of a cool mechanism to engage.
Yeah.
But I don't know that there is a playbook for how you do it. You just kind of got to figure it out and be careful that you don't break
Yeah.
along the way.
Finding community, right? So Caring Bridge, therapy, or finding someone who has like space that you can just listen to that has common ground. That comes up a lot with folks that we have, whether it's they themselves that have had difficult diagnosis, medical journeys, or one that they love. That comes up a lot, right? And I know, did you lean in on that a lot? Like you just like community?
Yeah. I leaned on a lot of guys in the firehouse, but my doctors, and then they would connect me with other people going through the same journey. What people don't realize, like you said, like you can't break, right? Like you will get to a point where you will, if you don't start taking care of yourself, you'll break. But what people don't realize, like I didn't realize until my dad got sick or when my mom got sick, is that, responsibilities in life still are there.
100%.
Those don't go away. You still have to pay a mortgage. You still have insurance to pay for. You still have to get groceries.
Right.
You still have to get gas in your car. You still have to show up for work. All those responsibilities still exist. You still have kids to take care of. And those don't go away once you get a diagnosis in the family. And so, yeah, it's overwhelming. It's shock. But you don't have time to process.
So I would argue it's a whole new set of responsibilities. And look, I grew up in a house in a generation with an expression of work-life balance. It was probably that stage of going through the journey that I figured out that that's all crap. Because to me, work-life balance implies that here's this box, and I take care of this and this box, and then here's this box. Man, it is navigation. And stuff is going to get thrown at you, and it is work-life navigation. You figure out how to get it done. Right to your point in terms of the bills getting paid. And at that stage, at least healthcare, it was all paper-based. My Sunday morning job over time was digging through all that, trying to sort that out. And
all of that's just paper at that point.
Well, and on the one hand, it was an escape and gave me a channel to direct energy. And at some point, it became, okay, I'm good. In fact, Maurice and I, through that journey, would often talk about you don't get more than you can handle. God doesn't give him, and the whole, we're good, right? And there are families that have very rich, deep platitudes in terms of their values. We came up with what is, at that stage for us, what has stuck many years later. Boring is good.
I love it.
Boring is good.
Yes.
Boring can be very enjoyable.
Yes.
Just step back and take it all in.
Yes.
Quiet is good.
I'll lean in on that one, man. 3 kids and, business has been very busy in my adulthood. And as we were talking, getting ready for this show, I think I told you that I'm looking for, I'm reducing the things that, you really appreciate the quiet moments. And indifferent of what time, whether the 2000s or now you can stack things on yourself endlessly.
Absolutely.
All the time. Have you guys kept it boring?
We talk about, now we're in different stages of life. So now the kids are 24 and 19, and there are nights where we look at each other and say, so this is how it's going to be when they're both out. It's just us and the dogs, right? The funny part is Maurice's joke is we'll get another dog. Let's keep it that degree of boring.
Yes. I think that's such, we talk about that a lot too, is there's some really interesting data coming out right now about social media. I think there was something on 60 Minutes this last weekend where, just the ability for us to press pause, enjoy human interaction, put the screen away, be present. We talk about a lot, and you guys just desiring that boring, that just calm after everything you went through.
100%. In fact, it's funny that you talk about that. So the Zach, our youngest, who went through the journey, is witty as heck, right? And when he'll see mom and dad at night on devices, he'll say, "Oh, you're screenagers?" That is rich, man.
Yeah.
You're screenagers?
And both of you are on.
Usually he will say to whichever one of us is not on the device, "Hey, Mom, Dad's being a screenager. Hey, Dad, Mom's being a screenager."
I love it.
Message received, buddy.
Yeah. Look at the other. How long did his fight go? Like how long?
It's 3.5 years.
Wow, man.
In and out. And again, you figure out, so look, you guys know this, the whole, you got to play the hand you're dealt, and back to there is no playbook, you just figure stuff out. We were very blessed. So situations like that, unfortunately, sometimes tear your family apart. It brought us closer together, and very proud. Our oldest, it was like light bulb went on. I'm going to do something in healthcare. She's in her last year of occupational therapy school and out doing rotations and absolutely killing it. So
Love it.
again, you look back and things happen for a reason. So back to my analytics side, 100 why? Just got to leave it alone, right? So this whole continue to be a perpetual student. Sometimes you just got to leave it alone and trust that there's a bigger meaning behind it. Right?
Can I ask how that it brought you all closer? Can you speak to what fundamental things, like for you all, to bring you closer and not break you? What was it?
Well, so things like for our daughter, try and maintain a sense of predictability, and that she's still playing soccer in school and getting her from place to
Keep
place.
her normal going.
Yeah, and we're very blessed to have incredible support structure and family and friends here in the community. But mom and dad want to be part of that too, right?
Right.
So a powerful moment. Probably a couple weeks after our son was diagnosed, I had to get out of the hospital for a little bit. So I took Ashley, our daughter, over to Exarban, and walking around the campus, and I'd seen her show Zippo Emotion, right? So she's a 10-year-old. I looked at her, I said, "What's going on, kiddo?" She said, "Well, I got to be strong for mom." It's like she read that in the books. I'm like, kiddo,
Wow.
boom.
Yeah.
Right? And so those are moments that you look back and there's power, but you got to take care of you and be a kid here too. Right?
Yeah.
But that degree, for a 10-year-old to feel that degree of responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. To keep, how did you guys stick together?
You know, I'm relating to so much of your story, you know, and you saw we met right after I got through almost 2 years of battling cancer, right? And then I got in a remission, and the first time I hit 100 days, I went and I joined LLS. And then you had me come speak to the board about my story, my journey, and it was just that moment, just it instilled so many solid relationships and good friendships, lasting friendships. Right, it's 8 years now, and I talk to everyone on a regular basis, and it was again kind of in the moment hard, but I tried to ignore it as much as possible. Like I just put my head down and grinded. But it's Rachel. Simple answer.
Comes back.
Rachel.
Man. Comes back.
You know, I would doubt myself a lot, but she wouldn't let me doubt myself. And she would just keep reminding me that this is only temporary. You know, we'll get through this. It's temporary. The struggle today was a bad day. Sure, let's acknowledge it. It was a bad day. Those happen, but maybe tomorrow will be a good day. That's the beautiful thing about a new day, is you don't know what it's going to be for a surprise. It could be another bad day, but it could also be a great day. And it's just that hope of every day, waking up. Every time you wake up the next day, it's an opportunity, you know? And so it's those little wins along the way. But one thing I want to speak on is you talked about, like, you know, Ashley going into healthcare, right, through this experience, the impact, right? We could see the greatest gifts in life are birthed through tragedy, right? Like, and I'm experiencing it myself, right? There's a lot of things that I'm unable to do as a father, right? But I know in the long run, there's gonna be moments where as long as I put the effort to show up every day, there's gotta be something there. Your wife showing up every day for your family.
So Nick, there's a ton of power there. So a couple things I want to follow up on. So number one, I will never forget when you came and talked to us that night at the board meeting, right? So keep in mind, this is had a feeling generally of more of a corporate board, right? So to be docs or folks in the business community in terms of how we go out and raise funds, and here's strategies, and here's this guy that walked into this room, just a bundle of energy, right? And one of these, and this curveball came in, it was like, bring it on, bring it on, bring it on. And I remember I was sitting next to a couple of our very good friends, and we both looked at, who is this guy? And is this real? It's like an angel that we just got to get to know this guy, right? And so moments that matter, man, which for me, you know, I go back and I'm like, wow, at the time I didn't appreciate the power of that moment, but that happened for a reason, right? fact, Maurice and I talk about this all the time, that things happen for a reason. And again, she has the gift and the blessing that keeps me grounded in terms of just leave it alone, right? And be here now. Whereas I'm the why? And wait a minute, we had a plan, and this is different than the plan, and right. So it's one of those. You just got to take a step back, and that's the hand you're dealt. You figure it out, and you go back and say, well, maybe that was why it all happened.
Yeah.
In terms of actually going into healthcare, or Zach teaching me the power of. I was always one that was, a week from now, I got this going. I got to just be right here, right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's tough to do. I find myself not doing it. I'm such a planner. Rachel, such a planner, right? We almost didn't start a family because we didn't know what my fate would be, right? And we just, one day, just what are we doing to ourselves?
Yeah.
No day's perfect. Can you pick a day that's perfect?
No such thing.
That's the beauty in it, right? It's like every day's a thumbprint, right? It's not the same as the last. And we get so many of those moments, right? Every day. But like the other part is, when your family showed up, I just got out of Madonna in October. Christmas is around the corner. I got 1-year-old boys. I got Julia, who's just turned 5. And I'm like, or 4. And I looked at Rach, and I remember I didn't know what Christmas was even going to look like. I was just trying to take care of myself. I was having to be forced to be selfish. And it was horrible. It was not a good feeling, but I had no other option. And I tried to figure out how I'm going to get along in life and do this. And Christmas was around the corner. It was a tough year. Just, wow, what are we going to do? I remember Jack calling.
Santa?
Santa. Santa called me. Santa called.
Keegan.
And,
So good.
And, he's like, Nick, how you doing? I'm like, I'm always like, I'm doing great. But I was not. And I remember him going, if there's anything we can do. And we're in the car, and I looked at Rach, and I was like, could you do me a solid? Don't take offense to anything I'm about to say. But man, you would make a great singer. He said, say no more. He's like, you got it. And your family, Augustine,
The elves.
Keegan, yeah.
Santa and the elves.
And the reindeer. I mean, that moment, lives so well, like so strong in my heart and mind every day and every Christmas to see that, right? Community, the caring of friends. From just a moment of coming and speaking as a board, you guys rallied and showed up and gave my kids the most memorable Christmas.
Well, Nick, you need to understand, though, the gift that you gave everybody else. You gave us through this process, too, right? Because those stories are still legend in all of the circles, right? So, unfortunately, I wasn't able to, I think I was out of town that day, but I've heard the story from Augustino's, I've heard it from Jack, I've heard it from my own family. It was one of these coldest days of the year type deal, but the warmth because of what happened that day and the play-by-play and the looks on the kids' face. I heard it from texting them, like, how did it go? And everybody called and was telling me the same story. And to this day, in fact, I saw Jack today, still legend.
Yeah.
So you gave everybody a gift.
I tell that story every chance I get, and here was a chance. I won't forget that. It's your family, right? Seeing what it was like to go through hardship in those difficult times, and that understanding that the general population typically doesn't understand, right? And recognizing those cries for help. That's a lot of times you have to have an ability to recognize that, right? Because I could easily fool anybody and just say, I'm good.
I'm proud of you for doing it. The whole guy macho thing, right? So is one of the things that I've observed over the years, and I may resemble this remark, a little bit of the, I'm good, let me take care of you, right? And one of those, you're not taking care of yourself. And even to your point, I still will say I'm good, but on the inside, you're absolutely miserable. So you got to figure out what that release mechanism is. And that's cool that you did make an ask.
Yeah. Well, right? And it's not like that in the fire service, right? You always just say, I'm good. And the worst thing about being diagnosed with cancer was that you had to focus on yourself. You couldn't, you don't want the attention on yourself. You want to be able to help others, right?
Which is what you're used to do. That's your
blood,
calling. Yeah.
Right? That's what you do. And so that change was such a weird, uncomfortable space. Would you find that even in your day-to-day where you weren't good and leaning on the wife and finding that support and that vulnerability, and that it was okay, and to have those moments of just not being okay.
Okay, so I will do the true confession thing. I'm going to use the word ego. I think ego sometimes gets in the way.
Amen.
Right? And I can think about every aspect of life where ego becomes the number one derailer. I'm good. I got it. I'm good, brother. Right? And then
Yeah.
it's simple. You got to let it go and keep it real. Right? And today the in vogue word, again, never would have been talked about as good, is vulnerable. Right? I'm willing to make myself vulnerable. I'm willing to ask for help. Right? And then you figure out really who's in your circle. Right? And sometimes it surprises you, right? At least for me, the folks that you thought. And then some other, well, I never didn't see that one coming. And it just warms your heart.
I think that just the power of community, right? That Jack does what you needed him to do, even though you were saying you're okay. And I think what's cool is when you have that community around you, we're at that point, right, where I know you're not okay. Like when you're around somebody, you love somebody enough, like you start to feel that. But that next piece we talk about with community, you gotta put yourself out there, right? Like you have to be willing to the ego and the vulnerability, right? I think there's a lot of opportunity for people to be healthier mentally if you're willing to lay down your armor and say, and you don't need to be a wimp about it. Like you can say it with honor. That's just like, I need to talk, right? And then you need that community. And the second thing that's resonated a lot in our shows is opportunity, right? Like you weren't a trained public speaker.
No.
But through the power of whatever stood you in front of that board, right?
Yeah.
And then you still talk about it. But we talked about that last show. And, Jamie, we talked to, like, as we moved, just taking things that come in front of you and grabbing them, right? Having your head up, not having your eyes closed to these amazing opportunities that come in front of you. And I think a lot of what I've watched you now, change and metamorphosize into what you're doing now. You're a really good example of just grabbing that stuff. Like even when you weren't comfortable.
Yeah. I mean,
public speaking, even a couple of years ago, man. And now you're just like,
So it's reminders though, right? Like you could probably speak on this, is that as you're going through difficult times, you have those that surround you, right? That lift you up when you can't stand, right? And hold you up. That you get those little messages, right? I got messages from you and Jack. I was in the hospital, little video messages, little videos. And it was just, like me and Jake talked, that those are the messages you want to hear. Is it just people are pulling for you, thinking of you, praying for you, all the things, because it's like, okay, I can't let them people down. There are people watching, right? It's always when you don't think people are watching that you think, I can slack. I'm not going to do my best. No one will notice, but people are noticing. And those are those little reminders that people are noticing you, and they do want you to do your best. And as a reminder to start your next day on the best foot possible and push as hard as you can to get to that next day and then that next day.
So again, sometimes things happen for a reason, right? And at least the way that I'm wired, the whole when somebody goes quiet on me for a little bit, then it's time to send one of those, even if I don't know what's going on, right? Hey man, just checking in, right? There's the obvious, the Thanksgiving, the Christmas, right? But then there's it's just been a while. How you doing, brother? Right? But by the way, I want to go back to the public speaking thing. So back to what we were accustomed to. You got the docs who come in and go technical. You got the business. I remember the word that was used is genuine. Just here's one of the most genuine people and genuine messages that we've ever heard. In the whole, if you were scared of public speaking, I never would have guessed that. It was just get up there and go, which is awesome. Awesome.
It's the power of empathy. We talk about it on the show, empathy, right? People get that confused with sympathy.
That's right.
Empathy is how we learn and how we evolve as a species. And, it was really important because what that board was symbolized to me was the impact of why I was even there. CAR-T, right? LLS was a big player in pushing CAR-T. And it just happened to align with my timeline where it was a beneficiary, I was a beneficiary to that. And so it was really important to me. Once I went through that experience, I needed to meet the people that were involved in making that happen. And then I got to get to know them. And I want to be a part of that group. And I want to do my part for everyone that comes after me right? And making that additional treatment. We have CAR T. What other treatments are in the kiosk that aren't available yet that we can get available to when patients get that diagnosis, families, right? Yeah, they say the patient gets the diagnosis, but honestly, it's the family
100%.
that gets the diagnosis, right? It impacts family, friends. I mean, I have a friend whose wife just shared her diagnosis, and it was a heavy impact. You know, it hits you, and you take a minute, and you do kind of feel like you got hit in the chest. When it's anyone in your circle who's supported you, who's any of that, and you just sit back and you just like, and you even as a patient and even as a caregiver, you probably still find it difficult to find the right words to share with that person, and it's weird because you think you would have the right words to say or know what to say. Do you ever find that even today?
So I always call those awkward moments, but back to this learning along the way. Sometimes you don't have to say anything. There's they just being there.
Yeah.
Right.
Just the presence. Yeah, that's
You
what
can't fix it.
And then you use your gut, right? If it's a bad time and you shouldn't be there, guess what? You can leave.
Yeah.
But I'd rather have that awkwardness than I would the guilt to not going.
I think go ahead, finish.
No, I was just going to say, so the cool part about that introduction too, I was smiling, thinking through, you talked about the research and impact side of it, but that group of people and your ideation, you change the rules of the game in terms of how fundraising works behind it too, right? Between the car shows and we could do this, we could do that, we could do that. And this is a group where ideas are awesome, but there better be action behind it. It's been awesome to watch what you guys have done, coloring outside the lines and coloring inside the lines. So
you know, it's an honor because of being a community that supports and shows up, right? It wouldn't be successful if it wasn't for the community showing up to support it, right? You know, anything, right? Any venture, any idea, vision, someone had to show up for CAR T to be happy, right?
absolutely.
And so,
But the cool part though is you're right, great people in the mission, but then they have a great time. And the beauty has been I think about what Jack has done at the casino night, what you guys have done at the car show. Every year, we're gonna make this a little better next year, which becomes part of the draw too, right?
and you look forward to it every year like Christmas.
And to watch these groups get bigger and bigger. And there are people that come that, I didn't know this was that. Everybody goes on and on and on about what an awesome experience this is. And there's an and another and, right?
And then hearing year after year the impact and the growth, right? You're seeing that growth, that movement, and people affected in a great positive way. The other one is, wouldn't have been.
By the way, I heard I missed you at the park last Thursday night. Sorry. I think you and I were
I was there.
There were so many
people.
It was incredible.
Yeah, I have this. I'm right by the bounce houses. The kids, I mean, they're gone. Once we see bounce house, they're gone.
Now, what you do need to know, when I asked around and asked Tracy and Jack and Stacy and some others who was responsible for the weather, everybody said Nick. So I don't know how you did it, man. But man, it was a top
3 years
day.
in a row.
Yeah.
Let the listeners know what you're talking about.
So we're talking about Light the Night. So LLS is a major event every year. Thousands of patients and caregivers, doctors all come together, and even memorialize those that aren't with us anymore. It is a beautiful event, and I don't know if the venue's gonna hold.
Need to make the park bigger.
I know they're gonna have to knock down some buildings nearby, some serious demolition because it's just getting so big. And I mean,
that's amazing.
Every year I get to see my team. I get to catch up with so many great people. I mean, it's impossible to see everybody, but then you do the walk together, and it's like one of those moments like. Support groups, right? Support groups are tough. For me, I've been asked to attend certain support groups, and I always kindly turn them down. I don't do support groups. I can't sit in a circle and talk, but I will go do something fun and let the conversation naturally happen. I always find it way better. And so that was kind of the idea behind, Light the Night's that experience, right? You see people hugging and having those moments when you're hearing people speak and share their stories and stuff like that. And it was kind of the idea with Cars and Cures when we took it on was we're going to make a space that's fun, right? That bring people together like cars. They're going for the cars. But as they're looking at that '59 Ford, all of a sudden they're going to be like, hey, so why are you here?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm a caregiver or I'm a survivor.
There's the power.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then they start that natural, organic conversation happens, and who knows what's going to go from there, right? I love introducing people because, you know, this guy is like, it's one of my favorite things to do each week. If I see an opportunity to introduce two people that I think
Mutually beneficial.
you need to
100%.
meet, because you guys share so many of the same things and visions. So you guys got to be.
And the cool thing about this community, to brag on our Omaha for a second, is there is no such thing as a stranger, just a friend you haven't met yet.
Yes.
Right? And at least in my experience, there are very few people, if you have the courage to strike up a conversation, you very quickly in this town don't find a half a degree of separation
No.
to something else.
Yeah.
And there are very few folks that are jerks that it ends up not being a pleasant conversation, right?
Yeah.
And there's a strategy for that, which is just called no, and my phone just rang, right? I think my wife is calling. Right?
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, you said something I don't want to miss that's pretty cool in there. You said, hey, I say no to support groups. It's okay to say no, right? Which that's a learning that took me a long time to figure out. And I'm going to disappoint. Said, you got to take care of you. And if that's not your thing, you're going to be horrible when you put yourself through the motions.
Everyone has their thing, and not that support groups are bad. Support groups work for some people; they just don't work for me.
But if it doesn't resonate in your here and here, don't, right?
It's how it's your space. Speaking of Rally, Rally would be a spot that I would go to during my cancer diagnosis. So it was tough because we didn't have kids. My mom lived nearby, and Rach worked. And on my off days from duty, that was hours to think about what was going on. And did you find yourself where you're just hours of having to think about what you're dealing with, and then you can get into your own head and build fear and everything? So I would leave my phone at home, and I would get, at the time I had a 95 Miata. And they had a hardtop, and I took the hardtop off, and it was like a go-kart for the street. And it wasn't very fast, but it was very.
Tell me it was manual.
It was. It was
Yeah, thank gosh. I was like, no.
It was white
Can't
with
be
a black
automatic.
interior. It was amazing, and it had like almost 200,000 miles on it. Original engine. It was.
So it was new.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was amazing.
Mint. It's mint.
Yeah, I mean, it was the thing that got me through. I put my energy in, and I would just get in it, and I would drive, and it was such a visceral experience driving. It was amazing, and I loved to just drive that. And I would come all the way from West Omaha down to Rally Coffee, and I could park right on the street, and then I'd sit on their patio. And then when I was there, I would just people watch people walking by, and there was a construction zone. They were building that condos right there on the corner there, and I would just kind of just take in the atmosphere. I loved the downtown atmosphere. It was quiet, but not quiet, right? And I would just people watching. I seen this guy had gray hair. I was like, you know what? I think I want to go get a haircut today. This is how much I ended up losing sight of what my situation was in that moment.
that's beautiful.
And then I realized I don't even have any hair to go get a haircut. But it was just that feeling of like, I want to go get a haircut today. Oh wait, I need hair. But it was that split second moment. But that was my place of refuge.
Yeah.
Did you find yourself with places of refuge?
So it's funny. I always call those, to this day, I give when folks say, hey, do you have any advice going through it? You got to find your release mechanism. Okay. So back to the conversation we were having earlier about experience is the best teacher. I made the mistake of not doing what you did and having downtime. It was a fill it up. In fact, I had an amazing boss at the time who said to me, "Well, just take a year, or what your job's still going to be. Just step away and go do." Nope, bring it on. So looking back, should have made the time to do what you just described. I would work in things here and there, but it was not as disciplined as you. But by the way, you said great hair there for a second. I thought you said gray hair. What's wrong with gray hair? I prefer to think of it as silver. But
Oh yeah. Yeah, it ain't gray. It's silver. Yeah. I mean, like, I was curious, like, what my hair color was going to be when it came back, but it came back very curly. Actually,
That's cool.
Yeah, like it was thick and curly and deep brown. It would go away eventually. It would straighten back out. But yeah, it was weird for a little bit. Yeah, but you never know. It's good, My dad came back bright white. He was a redhead. Came back bright white. So
Is that pretty typical? I don't know if we ever got into that. Is that pretty typical?
It can come back a different color
Yeah.
temporarily. Yeah.
Or curly,
Yeah,
ton of volume.
Yeah. Just
What
yeah.
was that? Con? Yeah, highlight. That's right. So Zach says it came back highlighted it. So I was thinking, yeah, it came back different. But yeah,
Yeah.
isn't it funny to look back? And
Was it the
think
same
about-
texture or was it different?
You have to help me, dear. Same. Yeah,
Same.
texture.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like I can't imagine being that young, going through something so difficult. Because when you get that diagnosis, or you're a parent to one being diagnosed, there's an innocence that's robbed. Did you feel that? Like,
Oh, yeah.
and
Absolutely.
him being so young and having that innocence taken away.
And the whole, you would think it, Maurice and I would talk about it, the whole what you do to trade spaces, but that's not in the cards. So what do you do? And then you watch reaction to some of the treatment. I mean, it is absolutely gut wrenching. So back to the, what are you doing to take care of you? And then the latter stages of his journey, my dad got sick. So, I mean, there's just a period of time where back to this, you don't get more than you can handle or good, right? And again, now, like to think older, wiser, but still student every day, right? And yet being much more reflective, looking back, saying, okay, so what are the lessons from that chapter, right? It's like life is a book and there are many chapters. There's lessons in each of those chapters.
Some of those
And-
chapters are longer than others.
And some of them are full of mistakes that you make along the way. And right, that the beauty of it is back to community. And if I can share those little nuggets in terms of things that worked for me or worked for us and didn't work for us, there's power in that.
Yeah, go ahead and lean on the importance of being a lifelong learner in your life.
So I'm, I at least for me and others that I've been around over the years, I think that there's kind of this textbook definition of you go to school, right? You finish high school, you go into college, and here's how you learn, and now everything's right. No. Experience is the best teacher, and there's no substitute for going through it, right? And the best leaders, by the way, I'm absolutely convinced, learn from all of life's experiences. And the people I like to surround myself with have stories, right? Where resilience and grit and perseverance and having to overcome, and no pity parties, right? That's the type of people that I like to be around. And you put enough of those people together that are like-minded and see that, wow, some pretty cool stuff can happen.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to be clear, I am a believer in the education system, and it has a place, right? And the whole, you got to build up the intellect, but you got to apply the stuff at some point.
Yeah.
And for me, the real learning came from the stuff that there was no textbook, and you just got to figure it. It's the old pushed into the deep end of the pool with a life jacket, and could you keep your head above water?
Yeah.
Right?
And it keeps life interesting, right? If we're not walking around looking for, I mean, we talk about this all the time. Meet someone new today. Go somewhere different today. Do something that makes you uncomfortable today. It's that opportunity to do whatever we want, and just to experience something new. When we were talking prior to the show, Jamie, I mean, has that professionally and personally, and are you just open to that new thing?
I think the combination of what we've been talking about here with my family's journey and my professional journey, that there was probably a point 10 years ago where like a light bulb went on. I was accustomed to drive, need to achieve, but a little bit of the, I'm going to compete. And sometimes if it meant elbowing you along the way, I wanted to be the youngest guy in the room. And then I remember sitting in some of those rooms, I'm not the youngest guy anymore, right? And so the whole, to those of us who much has been given, much is expected, you got to pay it forward. So that's the beauty of life.
Yeah.
And I remember one of my mentors, he used words that have stuck with me to this day. He said, well, you know the difference between a know-it-all and a learn-it-all, right? So back to that thing, ego.
Yeah.
Hey, I got this, and I'm the smartest guy in the room, and I'm, right? As opposed to, slow down. There's something that I can learn here in the art of, in fact, I think parenting is beautiful at teaching this. I can tell or I can ask questions. And Maurice is about to laugh with what I'm about to say. I ask a lot of questions. And part of it is so I can learn, but part of it is sometimes it's better just to help you think, whoever you is, whether it's at home or in business or in the community. And by the way, usually we're more bought into an idea when it's ours rather than my idea I gave you.
Yes.
Told you what to do.
We talk about, I think we're always trying to push people to interact and to meet someone new. But then I also think you brought up a really good point with the folks that I know everything, right? And then you look around at some point, you're like, why am I isolated? Why don't I? Well, because you knew it all.
Yeah.
Versus being curious about somebody else. I got home yesterday, and I love Uber rides. I love asking.
I can see that.
Dude,
I
I
can see
love
that.
Uber
Yeah.
rides.
Yeah.
This kid was awesome. And he had such cool perspective that he was talking about Uber, and he was working various jobs, and he's like, I just couldn't make the ends meet. And they were like standard W-2 jobs. And he's probably like 31 now, I think, as he was talking about. And this is a 15-minute ride, baby. Like, I know this kid, dude. I hope I see him again. He was awesome. Joseph, if you're out there, man, you're awesome. Like, it was so good. But
I think you have a car out front.
I know, right? He's waiting. We're going out later. Yeah, we're going to Sibs. We're gonna hang out. It's all good. But but how cool is this? He talked about he bet on himself. He'd been driving Uber for 8 years. And I was like, does this like work? He's like, oh yeah. He's like, I'm super comfortable. I get to play hockey whenever I want to play hockey. He loves hockey. And he leaned in on that. But then he told stories about, he goes, you think Uber picks people up from the airport and, a night out. He's like, Chris, I'll drive at 2:00 in the morning to different parts of the city where they will load up their car seat. They don't have a car. They don't have a mode of transport and all this stuff. And like completely, our conversation was amazing on Tuesday night. That was awesome. And like that experience, like my week, and today's just Thursday and now we're doing a show, but none of that happens, man. If I'm sitting there and it's like, give me my ride home. And
well, or you could have sat in the back seat and been on your phone though.
My man.
Right? So
eyes closed.
Isn't there? Everybody's got a story.
Yeah.
There's an hour in stories. And to this day, I've only met one person in my life. Okay, so you're doing this, and it was a straight line, right? For most of us, it's a set of zigzags in terms of, well, here's what I intended to do, but this ended up happening.
You've
right?
met one
And
though
I met one and it was a family where dad kind of scripted everything for him, and for whatever reason, it all lined up. Again, it maybe he was fibbing a bit type deal.
Yeah.
But the power of stories, right? In terms of, right, and then back to, you get to a certain chapter in the book of life and the whole, so you meet somebody in a spot there, that expression about, but you don't have to leave them there, right? So the whole, what are we doing collectively to make each other better, to make society better, to make a cause, a mission better, to, right? Keep going. That's called a movement, right? Which is pretty cool stuff.
And then, I always tell people too, on projects we work on, it's like, look, nothing's wrong with this idea, or this current project or anything, but I think there's areas we can improve it. That's it. We're not trying to be different. We're not trying to create a whole new idea and rebuild it and all that. No, but we can just tweak it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think in life, that's kind of been my approach.
100%.
It's just tweaking it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always a better, you leave a personal touch, right?
And staying in my lane, right? Like,
So Nick, it's funny. I have adopted the expression over the last couple of years. When I have an idea, I will readily admit, this is a stack of coal, but there may be a diamond in there somewhere. So help me out, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes there's no diamond, but okay, we had fun debating, right?
Yep. Well, and I think too, kind of that analogy, that pressure is okay. Great things get developed under pressure.
I got to tell you though. So, an adage this same mentor gave me many moons ago. He had actually a sign that said a diamond was once a piece of coal that did well under pressure. Okay, and then he also had an expression that went something to the effect of get comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's where real growth happens.
Yes.
Okay, but one of the things that I am still learning, so that has stuck with me, right? And I try and push myself, but I try and push others. Everybody has a breaking point. And unfortunately, I've made the mistake of pushing some folks. You got to sometimes step off the gas pedal. And so there's discomfort that, particularly when you don't appreciate the rest of the story in terms of what that person's navigating then.
Yep.
So just
That's a great
cautionary
call.
and a lesson I'm still learning.
Yeah.
Because the beauty of working with human beings every single day. We're all different, right? That's part of the mystery of figuring out.
Where'd your drive come from? Like, I can tell that you are like,
Don't know. I've got a gift and just very blessed that that's always been the kid, that there's always a more parents who pushed me to try some things, environments that I worked in where it was there's always a more, maybe a little bit of a don't want to lose. There's no such thing as losing. So going to work harder, do more right. And then fortunate enough to get lucky along the way.
a lot of really great mentors.
A lot of very great mentors. Yeah, I mean, a really emotional, a phenomenal wife that I've known for over 30 years now, who let me eat some of those things that I wanted to go do. You do this, you go do you, so that I could do that. She took care of stuff that she didn't have to.
That's the second. And I'm extremely blessed. I married, way outkicked, and so all three of us. We talk about Rach all the time, man. Like, just the blessing of finding lifelong love, man. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. We talked about that. We talked about that, and it's beautiful, dude. Like, I beg people, like, if your marriage is struggling, mine has times where it wasn't. And we talked about pre-roll, right? That she allowed you to go and go and go and go. And then I think it's super cool that you got to a point where it's like you did listen enough to realize, okay, now it's us, right? Like
100%. Now, to be clear, she also has genes that are Sicilian. So there's the general approach.
Let's
that she's
go.
and then there's the 1% of the time where it's called remedial training. You can ask her, but sometimes I listen, sometimes I'm coachable, sometimes I'm not.
We can't go too far because the Sicilians have one way of doing things at some point. So we
That's
gotta be
right.
careful. I
That's
gotta
right.
call you.
There's a line.
I've made it 30 years, so like I think, I'm rounding up. She's gonna be a hard time now. I think it's 25 years. I think I rounded up right there. But I've made it 25 years without my brother-in-laws, going to the far extremes. But
I like your odds. You're almost off your probationary period.
awesome.
So,
You didn't tell me that.
Yeah, well, my probationary period keeps getting extended, so whatever that tells you.
God bless the Sicilians, man. It's such a oh man, just the fabric of Omaha. It's talking about how great our city is, but yeah, the Sicilian community here is just incredible.
Exception.
Yeah. Where'd you guys meet at?
Actually, through mutual friends when we were seniors in high school.
Okay.
Through college, became best friends. And then again, looking back, these moments that matter. There was a point she wasn't dating anybody, I wasn't dating anybody, and as I say, the rest is history.
Yeah.
That's how I remember it.
Yeah. Fair enough. Where was high school?
Marisa went to Central. I went to Prep. So
Wow. Eagle and a blue. Okay.
Junior J.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, you're in training.
You got to earn the full J thing. So.
Yeah. I gotta give Central credit. Like, did you see what happened in that football game last week?
No.
Dude, like throttled down on, sorry, West Side, but at West Side, my daughter goes to West Side Middle, and it was from the jump, man. It was just different.
Wow.
So
this is a Back to the Future moment, right?
That
used to be Central.
It was crazy. They were amazing
awesome.
last week. So then Creighton or
UNO.
okay.
Right?
Go Mavs.
Yeah, actually. So back to the things that Marisa has supported me that I've done. I am technically a J Mavsker.
Okay.
So UNO.
You touched.
I've got an MBA. I did all the work at UNO, yet UNO didn't give MBAs at the point. So technically degrees from University of Nebraska Lincoln.
Got it.
And then I've got a degree from Creighton as well.
Cool.
So,
Touched all three.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's
So
awesome.
I get to
man.
cheer for all three and say,
Yeah.
I'm a proud alum.
And whichever one
jersey's
does better.
chopped in.
Yeah, that's the one I'm going with this year.
And by the way, that was the best 20 years of my life doing that. I didn't say I was a good student. I was just a student, right?
Lifelong learner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me more. Give me more.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I think what's really cool is a lot of your guys' stories and a lot of the most powerful stories I hear is built around struggle, right? You know, Jake talked about that last week, and you found a way through it. You found a way through it with all that support, but like also reminding people that struggle can define you, right? In the best or the like. I mean, that's.
I mean, I remember this specific moment. So I got diagnosed, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Very aggressive. At the moment of diagnosis, organ failure, wasn't looking good. We were trying to start a family in that moment. You know the story. me pushing back treatment because I wanted to secure that first. And then those hard conversations. And then going through that and not telling my work, nothing. I told him it was a stomach thing. Don't worry, I'll be back. You know, you're not going to get it. It wasn't contagious, but I'm good now. When they didn't know I was going through my first chemo treatment.
Dude,
And
you never shared this.
yeah,
You
they didn't know.
You didn't share it at the house at all, at the firehouse.
No. There was
No,
one
you
guy
never-
that knew, but didn't know to the extent. And he was my confidant. He was in a shift.
You had a stomach bug.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, yeah,
I
I'm
don't
just
know
not
that you've
that
ever
well.
shared that.
One guy that knew, and then I was like asking nurses. I was like, "Will my hair fall out?" And she's like, "Well, if you get to 18 days post chemo, your first chemo, most likely won't." And so I got to day 17, and I remember taking a shower at home, and it all fell out.
Huh.
And I was already on shift for almost a month at that point. And so I remember going downstairs, and I just laid my head on Rachel's lap, and I cried. And I mean, I just came down with balls of hair in my hand. I mean, it just like all at once. And I remember I was like, tomorrow I gotta tell the guys, and I gotta go talk to chief, and I gotta hope I don't lose my job, and I have to prepare for all the questions, and you know that I've been working under chemo and going through all this stuff. Kind of felt guilty, like I was, lying to them, and doing this all behind their back, and I didn't. Because once you let it out, right? Like once you let the people know, your circle know, it becomes real, and you open yourself to good comments and bad comments, right? And I was just, I figured if I didn't, at that moment, it became real, right? I think I was my goal was to go through it with no one knowing what I was going through. And again, that ego and just, I'm going to push. And if I don't acknowledge that this is real, I'm going to make it through this just fine. And no one's going to know, and no one has to bring it up. But it wasn't the case. But I was a fool, because by doing that, the support was amazing. And I remember having to tell my chief. I went in with 2 other guys on my shift, went and talked to the chief. And that morning, first thing, I went in with a hat on. And I was like, hey, something I haven't been upfront about. I've been dealing with it for over a month, but I got cancer. And the support and it was just remarkable. And I remember telling him, like, after our meeting, I was like, this is very sad. This is very hard, but honestly, it's pretty beautiful too, because I get to see this. No one gets to see this from where I'm sitting. No one's getting to see the humanity, the beauty and humanity. I mean, would you be able to?
Oh, there is so you just gave your listeners a gift in terms of the story, and there are, back to this whole be a continual learner, there's at least one thing that I want to call out, which is getting over the fear of the unknown.
Yes.
Right? So the whole, again, if I remember different stages, I would recently was this, I would have a hard time falling asleep just worrying about this and that. And what if this happens? And what if that happens? Now I'm where I'm so tired at night, I start snoring at a weird time. But your story that you just shared there in terms of, well, how is this going to be received? How the guy's going to do this, right? And the reality was totally different than the narrative that you had told yourself, right? Now, kudos to the guys and the boss and everybody for how they handled that, because if that would have went different, boy, that's a different story, right? So how cool was that the people that you surrounded yourself with reacted the way that they did? That's rich, and I'm sure for you, use the word beautiful, right? It was nice. Whoa.
It was. Well, and the wild thing was, I remember, one of the top leadership at where I was working, daughter-in-law received a diagnosis of the same disease, and would come in after hours, 7 o'clock at night, station's quiet, dark. Most guys are in their private quarters sleeping, talking to their families, and you'd come down quietly. We'd sit at the kitchen table and we'd talk. Here I am, currently a patient, and he was just trying to understand how him and his wife could support her and his son, and it was wild. But again, a beautiful moment I'll never forget, and that happened several nights in a row, and it was just like, wow,
So build on that and share a parallel story for us. We had some friends that became really good friends whose son was a couple years older than Zach, and he was diagnosed, I think, a matter of 7 to 10 days before Zach, and almost the exact same.
Whoa.
Everything. 2 kids from same zip code, same school. I mean, one of these
Come
things
on.
that statistically is
Yeah.
impossible.
Wow.
Impossible, right?
Wow.
And the parents, the dad is even more analytic than I am type deal. So I can remember moments at night, whether it was on the phone or in person, the whole just having somebody to talk to, that the story was relatable, right? As opposed, so empathy with context in terms of not only being in the exact same journey, but same stage of the journey. And then what you learn about, again, miracles happen in healthcare, but for me, false assumptions that I made around science versus art. And, we had 2 different doctors and how things were going. And then there was well, should we be doing this or that? Or,
You question your.
and at some point, it's out of my control. Now I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to pay attention
That's
and ask
different.
questions.
That's
What's
different.
going on?
Yep.
But this, so you mentioned the word drive earlier. It's a blessing and a curse at the same time, right? Because there's a lot that I can't do, and coming to peace with that.
How many of your assumptions came true? All those things that are going through your head.
No,
How many-
So let me go broad. In life in general, most of those narratives that I took never came true.
Dude.
Yeah, dude, I'm embarrassingly off.
Dude, lifelong
Yeah.
leader.
Yeah.
Lifelong leader. Obviously has achieved a ton.
Yeah.
And dude,
Yeah.
stop. And I'm in that place. Right now I got so much stuff bouncing around my head. When you said that, I'm in that place. There's nights where I will lay down, and the worst for me is I wake up at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm toast because it starts.
Yeah.
And I can't go back. And I appreciate our conversation that we had, and I will be in touch with you.
Please do.
Because I know what I need to do. You helped me in that little 30 minutes that we had together. I know what I need to do, but I wanted to stop on that. All of those assumptions you've had, or all that fear that we have about the unknown, maybe 1% of that comes true, but that time and it's hard, right? It's hard to stop it, but for the most part, none of that's.
But the beauty for you is right out of the gate, you had the self-awareness to know that I need to talk to others about this.
Yeah.
Right? So you just said, hey, I know what I need to do. Dude, been there a bazillion times, but sometimes you need the reassurance, right? And in my experience, usually you do that and somebody gives you a couple angles that you hadn't thought of, and you make an even better decision.
Yeah.
Right? I got somebody I talk to from time to time that will say, need to talk to you because I've been talking to the man in the mirror, and sometimes he's got some really dumb ideas, right? So I need to use you as a sounding board in terms of, does this make sense?
And how beautiful is that person knows who they need to
trust
call.
and
Jamie's my guy.
Well, that's a two-way
And
street.
it's
Well, that's great that you call, because I could use a little help here too, brother. Right?
Yeah.
That's what's so beautiful about life, though, man. Is just those relationships that if you don't have that, and it's not always the wife for that thing, right? It's it's something different that 2 guys need to talk about or whatever, but you got to have that ability to have that relationship.
Well,
So
sometimes it's the wife that will encourage you, have you talked to such and such,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So back to the helping you
That's
overcome
good.
the.
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I feel we don't give our wives enough credit, or our significant others in life, because Rich always says, I feel I had so much guilt, and I would say some of the most off the wall, just giving her an out, you don't want this life, and I don't blame you. I don't want this life, but I have no choice, right? You can't divorce yourself. Well, you can, but that's 6 feet down. That's the divorce.
You almost did it.
Yeah. It was you don't want this. And her going, obviously offended, and going, that's never in my cards. Never even a thought. It's my thought, but not hers. But those pieces of just pushing you and reminding you, and when you get off track, she puts you back on the tracks, and picks up where you're missing way off, right? Giving you those moments, and I feel there's so many times I question, do I give her any of those moments? She's been so generous to give me, and then I check myself.
Yeah.
Angels come into our life for a reason.
Yeah, it's wild. you want to, make sure you do that too for them. And like, I want, like the caregiver aspect. People recognize the patient,
Oh, dude.
but as we see here, being a caregiver is that plus.
And every caregiver needs a caregiver, right? So it ties back to that circle and the support structure that
Yeah.
all of us have to have.
Taking care of patients for a long time in the home, man. Like what sons and daughters do for folks that are going through home health, what parents do for kids, what Rachel, like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Amazing.
Yeah. I would say just,
Again, it's beautiful.
yeah, it's incredible what people do for other people, but I hope folks fight for their marriages. There was at one point, however brief it might have been, but that like just fight for that. Just fight for that. I think all three of us as men, like we're very, very forward about how blessed we are. Like we are who we are because we had these amazing partners.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not alone, right? Like the efforts, the successes, the downside, the upside, never alone in that, right? When I want to take the credit for it, she's like, no, this is both, right?
That's awesome.
It's wild.
That's awesome.
But it gives you that perspective. And like you've spoke, like living life is always R&D, right? You research it, you develop, you research it some more. And I joke, I've said it on the show before, like empathy, right? Like there was at one point another human to another human. Like don't go buy that thing with sharp teeth and little arms because last week it ate my buddy. It'll do the same thing to you, and we've evolved, right? Like that's the
so
simple
the
piece.
cool part about the three of us is we're talking about this too, right? There's a lot of folks that won't talk about it. And part of the beauty of talking about it, there's another definition of R&D, which is rip off and duplicate, right? So if there's something that works for you, well, that's interesting.
My man. Yeah. You don't have to create everything. If it's working, it might work for you. So
one more question, if I can. This one's going to be kind
is
of
it a yes, no?
No,
of course not.
none of them have it.
I know.
No.
Yeah.
This show gets harder.
Yeah.
When do I get to? Oh, no.
This one, you'll probably knock it out of the park. But one thing I've always struggled with is we talked about earlier losing that innocence. What's the new normal? What can we do? Can your innocence be regained? Going through that with your son being so young and that loss of innocence, and your innocence, the whole family's innocence is a piece of that's taken, a significant piece. Would you say there's been steps along the way that you feel like that's rebuilt itself?
So a couple things. No, number one, not to nitpick, but the word normal, I don't know what normal is.
Yeah.
Right. So again, the human journey, everybody's different. Back to the play the hand that you're dealt, right? Number two, still trying to figure it out. And that's time that you're not going to get back. But back to the conversation, we're just cabbing around who keeps us grounded, right? So the whole, I have an angel in my life she will remind me from time, maybe we do this and maybe we did trips. And again, the kids are 24 and 19. We took them to Mexico early part of this year. Maybe we should do that again, do this. It's pretty cool. So 24 and 19 have a boyfriend and have a girlfriend and doing their own thing, yet they like hanging out with mom and dad. That's wild. And the boyfriend and the girlfriend, I'm going to go with like hanging out with mom and dad because they're at the house quite frequently too, right? And friends that's a gift, man.
Yeah, it is.
A bond.
That's a gift.
I mean, think of the journey you as a family have been through and the bond that was created, and right?
Well, you too, right? So again, back to everybody in that household goes through you just may not appreciate it, but everybody goes through an experience, and back to bringing you together, right?
Yeah.
Well, and cheers to you two, because they're hanging out with you two because you did a good job, man.
Well, they love hanging out with Marisa. They tolerate me and my bad dad jokes.
I couldn't even get that one past you without you. But just like your marriage, man, and I'm waking up in my mid 40s that I got these three just beautiful kids that those are my creations, man, and they're God's creations first, but I was blessed enough to have them, right? And just pouring what I can into just watching them and just watching them change as a person. But cheers to you two, like 24 and 19, like they're still chilling with you and hanging out because you guys did a good job.
Well, and
So congrats.
and poking and joking, right? So
Yeah.
just enjoy the journey, man.
Yeah.
Enjoy the journey.
Yeah, the unknown, and don't be afraid of, it's like, oh my gosh, if my kid doesn't do that, it's going to pan out.
Well,
Like,
I think at some point the light bulb's got to go on for all of us that struggle with that unknown. I don't know the answer, but we'll figure it out.
yeah.
How are you going to figure it out? I don't know that either, but guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to ask around. I'm
Yeah.
gonna,
Go to your
I'm
confidence.
going to pray on it. I'm going to sleep on it. I'm going to come back to it, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Is that your last?
That was my last.
Yeah.
I've
This is
always,
fun, guys.
Jamie, anything,
I am absolutely honored that you guys asked me on. It was, as I admitted to you before we came on, I was intimidated, a little uncomfortable, but awesome opportunity.
no,
So
man.
I appreciate
all
the chance,
the,
sir.
yeah, dude,
oh,
all
man,
the,
yeah.
I mean,
here.
yeah, it's got to be crazy for you to be, I mean, you
Yeah,
guys, for
it's a
10
gift.
years of relationships and like now to be doing this, that is, what does that feel like?
Well, I mean, there's so many pieces of your story that I carried through mine, right? Like when I'm doubting myself in my journey, right? Like, as a father and stuff like that, or, what those impacts would be, right? What significant impacts am I going to have on my kids because of stuff I can't control? It's just life, right? And taking that innocence, even at a young age for Julia, for example, like that was hard, right? And just trying to shield her as much as possible. And Rachel did an amazing job. But having to come into the hospital, see your dad for months at a time with machines, all those pieces, but hearing your story and you gave me that insight, right, of years past of, well, there you go. It works itself out.
Well,
and it might not be as bad as you think.
Nick, touche. So one of the things I've been thinking about a lot the last couple of weeks since we saw each other in the coffee shop, what you are doing for schooling, experience is the best teacher, right? I said that. What are you doing for schooling? It's the experiences. I'm going to go out into the community with my kids. If the listeners don't know that, you need to share that story. Awesome.
They're with me all the time. So yeah, I mean, the boys stay home with me, and Julia did the same. My off days, she was with me, and my mom would watch her on the days I was on duty, and carry that through, right? I take them to museums, I take them to the skate park, I take them to playgrounds, I take them to coffee houses with me. Sometimes they come to meetings with me. They're always with me, and they're just. My thought is, you're learning two things. You're learning just, kind of common sense, looking for cars, look both ways. Situational awareness, being exposed to the world. My dad did it with me. I mean, I would walk up and down South Omaha. He knew the barber. He knew the pharmacist. I would just go on errands with him. And then we would always end at the stockyards, walking the old docks, right?
Yeah.
And looking down at all the pens and stuff like that. And it was just carrying those pieces and really enjoying them as young as I was, not thinking, he probably thought, hey, he's not going to remember this, but I did. And kind of like we kind of take our kids, they're young, they're 4, they're not going to remember any of this, but they are. And Rachel going, they're seeing you getting out of your car. Even though Levi's like, Dad, can I get out first? You're too slow. And I'm like, no, buddy, I got to make sure you're safe. So I got to get out first. And then I let you out. So, you're safe and I can be there. And it's just, they hold door, people are blown away because they see him holding doors open and all the things. Yeah.
So the beauty of that is the teachable moment, right? So you're calling out the teachable moment for your own kids, right? Others see it. There's a teachable moment there, right? How cool is that? You said something very neat. You said practical, hands-on, common, basically common sense, right? And the world we live in today, common sense and common practice aren't necessarily one for one. So there's a lot of beauty there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, one thing I always say to them when we're going through a parking lot is like, hey, buddy, they can't see me, so they definitely can't see you. So we got to be careful. And, but yeah, and like exposing them to the community. I mean, Levi goes to the skate park and these guys are just like, they're in their 20s, but they love the kids, man. They just.
Well, and the beauty is 20 years from now, from now, think about the stories your kids will be telling. You just told the story about you and your dad. So that's another beauty, right? The stuff is stuff sitting around the house. The experiences,
My
create the memories that
man.
matter.
Yeah.
That's the real stuff.
Yeah.
That's the legacy we talked about with Jake last time. Yeah, I mean that legacy, man. I don't see any greater legacy than those that you created, right? I mean, it's just that's what, because the stuff's it's gonna be somebody else's. It's gonna rust. It's gonna be somebody else's house. But the thing that is perpetually yours, man, are those kids that you raised.
Want to thank you for listening to Two Caring Gents. Well, real stories meet real people. Please subscribe, like, share, all the things. That only helps our channel, and get that sense of empathy that's so important in our lives out. So thank you for listening. Until next week, take care.